All right, what is going on, everyone? If you guys give me a mic check, let me know how audio is. Let me know how video is. Currently not. I'm on the go. Right, there's construction on top of my office, so I'm got my mobile set up, and I'm gonna try to go live. Let me know how audio is, please. Let me know how video is before we start, just so I know. Check. Hey, Logan. So audio good, video's good. Awesome. Thank you, Georgia. All right, so looking at all markets, right? Just kind of taking an overview. All indices are coming down, right? So the Russell's down, the S&P's down, the QQQ is about to come down. So we're seeing a lot of sell-offs in all markets, not just BTC, and that can come to an advantage. I'm going to talk about that shortly. With the S&P 500 cracking down previous lows, right? We had seen this, what we almost thought was an exhaustion gap. It didn't seem like it, right? And it was kind of a bull trap, and now it's coming down a little further. We're not quite past the yearly low, but it's not looking good. Markets aren't looking that good, which gives BTC an advantage because it had been correlating with legacy market sell-offs recently, but historically there hasn't been that much of a correlation. So we might see it come into a hedge play because it is the most volatile asset where long money can actually move the chart up, right? And that's one thing we're looking for is the break in correlation for BTC to break the correlation sell-off with traditional markets. So we want to step away from that, and it looks like BTC is still at a higher low today, and some of these indices are at lower low. So it might be entering that era. Hello, Lido. On the chart, basically, we hit that low, we hit the previous low, and if you guys are VIPs, have been, we had a long here with a target of 4,200, and so that was a long trade. We said head short here, and then we kind of just let BTC play out. I had a long back here that got stopped out. Currently, it's looking pretty hazy. You guys know I don't like scalp trading. I like futures, and we like trading futures for the long haul. That's why we trade futures. Chart formation, if we are not on log, we see a wedge and a break above the wedge. If we go to a log chart, we're still not past the wedge, right? And that's going to be the difference between log and linear. Typically, you're going to see a wedge break on linear before we see it on logarithmic. And that might be what we're seeing. Another interesting thing we're seeing is BTC actually established a range, right? So it's going to be our range low of 33 with a range high of 35, or was it 34.79? And this thing's essentially a range trade, right? So how do we treat a range trade? We buy support and we sell resistance. I had broken out of a range, which is really good. It brought confidence back in. It actually had me signaling alts today. And I'll talk about why I hadn't signaled alts over the course of the last 5 days. So we're seeing a retest of the wedge. We want to see volume come back in and move the chart back up for a sustainable long at the retest, right? So we're also back in this previous range. We can actually drag this out now on the hourly. We have our 3 touches. You have 1, 2, 3, and then boom, a breakout. And we want to see we want to see a retest of the wedge. We did see an expanding triangle over here, or an inverse triangle, and it's just gonna be a continuation pattern. We want to see where this thing ends before rushing in. And that's the thing, we're getting to a point in the bear market where patience is going to be key, right? There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of frustration when the slow is coming down, when I had said, hey, we want to see a high volume sell-off, because historically every bear market is double bottom. I've shared some PDFs in our Discord, in our trading community, demonstrating studies that have been done on various bear markets and looking at the shape of a bottom. So we want to see this thing double bottom. And when we were up here, there was still this bullish pennant, right? And it looked like it was gonna break up higher once again, but it didn't do that. And upon the sell-off, like, hey, we want to see this come back and test the previous lows. We want to see what happens, right? And we want the chart to confirm that it's done selling off. That being said, that was another reason I took off the gas pedal on signaling alts last week, right? We had a BTC sell off, and we don't want to get caught in alts that are moving up for no reason, right? Some of the really good alt plays that actually upheld their value, like Mana was one of them, NMR and Marie, still kind of going up. What's going on, Ray? And a few others. You guys have any questions on BTC before we dive into altcoins and legacy markets? Lighto, do I think BTC might rise to what target? I want to say it's too soon for another up move, right? We want to see the range settle out. We want to see this range play out. But if it does, there's a significant, possibly a significant wedge. I don't like how this thing is shaping up. But wedge targets, and this might be like a drastic wedge target, right? I'm gonna go from high to low. So you see a 35% move. We could see a 35% move, right? That might not sound that big compared to the gains that have been raised, but the last BTC up move was a 25% move in 3 days, right? And that's why I'm like, I'm hesitant on opening shorts. I'm hesitant on signaling shorts right here, right? Because we saw like a 23% in a 2-day move, which lets us know that volatility is here and there's going to be some bulls trying to defend the price. And we had seen several cascading wedges. You remember back here when I saw the descending broadening wedge and I pointed it out, and then we saw the 2 up moves. So we want to see more reversal formations before trying to put an up target on BTC. You can't put an up target when something's still coming down. So I'd like to see it stabilize, or even rejection at this previous range, some reflexive volume, some good ROC before putting an up target, or saying we're gonna go up. But once again, you've been looking at or you and I've been looking for a double bottom together, and we're like, no, we're gonna see a secondary sell-off. And the more of these like drastic sell-offs, the more these price discoveries happen, the faster they occur, the more likely we're going to see a rally, as opposed to consolidating sideways, right? So if you go sideways, like we had gone back here, indefinite sideways is not good. We want to see price discovery. We want to see at what price BTC is going to bottom. We want to see at what price bulls are going to come in and say, nope, this is it. We scooped it all up, and time to go up, Bitcoin. Bears in control of daily, weekly trends, trend reversal when. And that's one thing we're looking at, Logan. There's this small reversal formation that I'm not a big fan of right now, but we did see a range low established. Can't pinpoint it. If I can say a date and say, oh, we're going to reverse on this date or on this formation, then that'd be great, right? But I mean, at this point, it's patience and waiting out the sell-off. It really is a patience game. That being said, this past weekend I was consulting on a big BTC acquisition, right? Somebody's looking to onboard a whole lot of fiat, start building a portfolio now. This is one of the more prominent families here on the island, and they stayed out of the crypto rush throughout 2017, right? And now they're looking at it like, hey, this is a good time to enter the market. I was consulting on things like a node portfolio and some buy ladders and stuff, but more of a longer term, pretty big fiat onboard into the market. So there's a lot of big players that are looking at the market now, saying, "Hey, this is the opportunity to come in." As there's hopelessness and there's anger and there's frustration. the more capitalistic people that stayed out of crypto are actually just now eyeing it. I'm actually having a meeting with them later this evening as well. But back to the chart, there's a possibility of a wedge. We've seen several attempted wedges and several attempted wedge breaks. And if we do get a decisive turn here, it looks like volume is going to come in and essentially with price action back up. That'd be the first good step. First good step would be trading above this previous range at 34.78 and get a close up here for a continuation to the upside. All right. If you guys don't have any more BTC questions, if you guys do, ask them now. Nah, before we move into alts, just an announcement. Smart Options put out their tracker for November, and it looks like Coin Observatory, we're back at the top. We had a highest consistency rate. Growth potential was 930%. All-time accuracy was 66. So we're still number one on Discord. And if you guys traded November with us, it was a terrible market condition, but we still were able to make it out. I think alts, we had a 395%. Some of them we carried over, like Mana and XEM from previous months, right, to close them out at higher targets for bullish continuation. This past week, that being said, this past week I slowed down on altcoin signals as the market was doing some pretty big sell-offs, right? We saw a lot of pretty much stop runs, and we wanted to stay out of that. I didn't want to signal alts that are moving because the books are empty, because we had that happen on a couple of signals. We'd put out the entry, and then within 20 minutes it's at T3, and then it's back down below a stop. So the books were empty, and somebody was placing big buys in, moving the chart up, and then the chart would kind of level off and die back. Big fiat stepping in, no expectation to drop more. So, when big fiat steps in, we're talking several $1 million being moved in, and, onboarding that when you're not in the market, it takes time, right? So we're talking about, onboarding exchanges, so Kraken, Gemini, GDAX, to put in those fiat buys and essentially laddering in. They're not looking to, if they scoop it up at 34, 35, and it comes down to 28, that's no big deal. They're not looking at this as a buy now and it's going to go up tomorrow. And I'm talking like a big fiat portfolio. That's why we want to buy a whole lot of nodes right now, because everything's priced so cheap. So like Stratus nodes are at a discount, Zcoin nodes are at a discount, Dash, everything's at a discount, and they're looking at building a long sustainable portfolio instead of just buying BTC for the next leg up. All right, show me some alts, guys. I know you guys are interested in altcoins. Had quite a few questions on alts. Hit me with some alts. Altcoin requests. Ray, Lightoid, Logan, Georgia. XRP. Right, so Ripple has been running an inverse correlation with BTC, right? What that means is anytime BTC sells off, Ripple makes some gains. And we can expect that correlation to continue in the near term because there's no reason for them to separate, right? It's been performing as a great hedge. XRP has, and that has served us well a couple of times. That being said, let's go to XRP USD. It had been upholding. Whoa, it's down to 30 cents. Tether, 29 cents. Interestingly, XRP was trying to uphold a 43 to 50 cent bottom, and it hasn't. It failed to do so. It actually looks like it's coming back down. on the tether chart, right, to retest this previous low. Looking at XRP in terms of BTC, or Bittrex. All right, so trend oscillators, trend is not looking very good. It's currently the ADX is at 15. There is no strong trend right now. That being said, there's somewhat of a cup and a handle with a failed breakout. I'd call Ripple and a range trade. It's coming back to retest previous resistance, see if it could turn to support. Right, if it doesn't, I expect it to sell off a little further. So the expected ranges are going to be as shown, probably a little bit of a support here and that. So Ripple's been fairly strong, right? In terms of BTC, it's performed better than a whole lot of alts. It has actually gained. This is, I'm not, telling you something you don't know. Has it lost momentum? Well, moving averages right here tell me that it lost momentum, right? Our short term's crossing below our medium term. So if I was trading this in terms of just moving average trades, right? This would have been the last buy signal. The reason I'm bringing this up is because that's how a lot of our bots and algorithms are going to be rolling out the next couple of weeks are going to work, right? So, this would have been the last buy and this would have been the last sell in terms of moving averages. So momentum on the daily is looking, sideways to the downside. It's still got quite a few support below. Let me get in on some VPVR action, see what's going on. Let's do an XRP. Let's do Binance. I want to see where volume is on this chart, where VPVR support is. Yeah, it looks like there's quite a bit of support, higher support nodes underneath. There's also talks of an XRP BTC short squeeze. So let's check on shorts. Right, they're in that all-time high range, right? They did squeeze, I want to say, a little over a week ago. And we're seeing potential here. And, currently I'd say Ripple's is neutral because the moving average crosses the downside and it's retesting previous support or previous resistance to see if it can turn into support. A throwback trader, right? A throwback trader looks at this and says, hey, this could be potentially a good buy, right? Because if we do retest previous resistance and it does actually turn into support, then we're going to see another continuation. So I'd say net neutral on XRP. Litecoin and ADA. Before I do that, let me add RSI. Not a big divergence on the daily, not over here. Yeah, this is what's worrisome is the ADX level, right? It's at 17, so the trend is really slowing down. At 240. Yeah, still looking at a sideways chart. All right. You're welcome, Billy. Litecoin and ADA. Litecoin. Ow. All right, so every time I get asked about Litecoin, I say, one, I don't trade Litecoin. Two, I don't hodl any Litecoin. And I also say that I expect capitulation out of Litecoin before it goes up and expect a series of traps. So here we had a sell-off and a trap, and a sell-off, another trap for a capitulation move, and then a big price hike. I don't see a reason for a Litecoin rally in the interim, right? I mean, I want to maybe I'm a Litecoin hater. Maybe I'm a Litecoin bear. I don't short I just stay out of. I stay out of Litecoin. Don't like this chart, and I don't see a reason for Litecoin. You know, it's faster than BTC. There's a Lightning Network. It's looking on the short term. It's breaking down from a bear flag, so I'd look for support where previous support was. I wouldn't jump in. I wouldn't layer orders in. I'd let this one play itself out. Litecoin USD, you're back in the $23 range. It's pretty bad. Yeah, and you know, I somewhat agree with Lightoid over on the YouTube stream. Litecoin will die along with Bcash, right? And I actually tweeted about this. The Bcash fork was genius. Why? Because Bcash, it's going to kill Bcash. Bcash ABC and Bcash SV are both going to die, and everybody's going to go back to mining just BTC. It's kind of like a civil war. Nobody really wins, right? And it's the market correcting itself. We have two ego-driven maniacs that are, one's a scam artist, the other one's a liar, and yeah. All right, going over ADA. So ADA's coming back down, cracking previous support, right? I haven't had a long on ADA that hasn't gotten stopped out in a while. So once again, I'm out of this chart. I hold no ADA. And this is the thing about momentum trading, right? I mean, we see all these coins getting crushed. ADA US, what is it at? 3 cents, right? I mean, that's pretty bad. While there's altcoins like Mana, right? Like follow the momentum. That's just personally how I like to organize my holdings and funds. This thing made over 1,000% in the bear market, right? Everything else sold off. Mana has made over 1,000%. I'm not shilling Mana. I'm just like, maybe we got lucky getting on this soon. So it's made over 1,100%. During a time everything else is getting crushed, right? And every time Mana gets breaks a downtrend, it goes on a run, and that's is an amazing, like, this is something that I'm going to hold instead of things that are in an indefinite downtrend like NEO, OMG. Like a lot of great projects are just not showing force, right? And you just got to follow the money flow. It's a market. All right, so every time this token reaches a downtrend, it goes up. It hasn't made a higher high, but we saw the Coinbase Pro announcement. I'm not trying to show this at the top by any means. You know, usually how our Mana signals when it starts breaking out of a downtrend. That's when we load up on these tokens. What makes you think Litecoin will die? Just curious, because what makes you think Litecoin's going to survive, right? Charlie Lee sold all his Litecoin, right? And when the founder sells all his equity or stake, I don't see a reason for Litecoin to exist. I don't. The only reason it ran up is because of mania. It's not like there's a big case use for Litecoin. Not that I can think of. Some people disagree with me, right? But I just don't see it being a sustainable project. I don't see a reason for it to be valued higher. When could step in with fiat to BTC, please? Nero XINX1, if you can please rewrite that question. Let's talk altcoins. Another one that's on my radar, right? NMR, Nuri. Once again, right, we have like a double, triple bottom here, and it's doing a pennant. It's looking like it wants to go up, and the fundamentals of this are strong. Back to ADA. So you're not getting a whole lot of requests. RSI. Do already have an RSI. Remove all drawing tools. So, oscillators are looking fairly decent, right? Where we've got somewhat of a divergent low, we have a divergent lower low. But I'm sure we've seen that over and over in this bear market, right? So you had another divergent low and the chart went up and came back down. So follow the momentum. Momentum's to the downside. I'm not gonna trade that. I'm not gonna dollar cost average because that's just a way to stay in a losing trade. This is one reason I wasn't firing off a whole lot of signals over the last week, right? Because like, oh, it's has support, we're gonna buy support. Oh, it's has support, we're gonna buy support. Oh, it's has support, we're gonna buy support. Oh, it's has support. Like, how many times are we gonna buy support and then make ourselves feel better about being in a bad position versus being a trade that's headed up, right? And going back to XCM, this thing made some gains and has stayed up. It's upholding. I don't know how much longer it can uphold this value because it's looking like a rising wedge, but this is it's looking a whole lot better than several other tokens. GNT at daily appears to be like a triple bottom. I posted on GNT today, Lido. GNT is looking fairly strong. I was seeing a little bit of a triangle bottom. It's attempting to break up, right? And this one is looking like a triple bottom. And it has bounced off this level before. Are we buying support? This one was on a pretty tight stop, right? And there's quite a bit of div. RSI had actually made it up to 59. Now it's back at 38. We're seeing volume come in. And GNT had quite a bit of momentum, right? Before the sell-offs, Golem had been performing. Went through two nice up cycles. Moving averages on the daily, they don't look the most promising. The 240 was actually looking prime for an up move, right? Last time we had one of these crossovers, the chart did fairly well. Volumes coming into the trade in the ADX is bottoming at 14, right? So that's good. We know that trends turn. ADX is a trend indicator, and the trend tends to turn at a ADX peak or a trough. The trough is the bottom of an ADX, and we're seeing an ADX bottom, some price action rounding. So it's somewhat conducive with GNT. Let's go back to BTC. I'm gonna put add a DMI or an ADX, see what's going on in terms of trend. So yeah, I was asked when is trend reversal. Looking at XBT or Bitcoin, looks like the ADX is at a peak, right? I was just talking about this. Move all the drawing tools, and let's go to the BPVR. All right, so this is the highest ADX we've seen throughout the bear market. Last time we saw an ADX peak on a daily chart, right, it was at 49, and that was, I want to say, June lows, right? So that middle of the head and shoulders. That was the last time. I'm going to highlight that. All right, so are we close to a reversal? The ADX, our trend indicator, says very much likely to be. You guys see that on the chart, right? That red line, you see where the ADX is at a peak. The ADX is going to be this other red line. I'm going to get rid of the others. It's the darkest one. And we're currently at a higher ADX level than previous. All right, so is this enough confirmation for a head turn? I'm not going to say it is, but is it a good indication that things are at a peak, right? That we could be at a head turn position? Well, let's look at this ADX level, and it's pretty high in the extreme, right? I mean, it could go up higher, but we've seen the bottom. We've seen this bear market turn at a much lower ADX. So typically there's trend exhaustion when the ADX reaches a peak or a trough, and I'd expect that to happen at some point. Hey guys, any other questions? Any other altcoins you want me to go over? Qtum. All right, so Qtum is one of those alts that actually went to target 1, 2, and 3 right when I signaled it, and then it came right back down, right? I believe I signaled Qtum back here, and it literally shot up and then came right back down below the stop. This is one of the reasons that I slowed down on signaling alts, because the order books were empty and price could easily move to the upside or to the downside. Qtum went below our stop. Is currently at a new low relative to the previous range. And yeah, a new low in general. So, you know, signaling a reversal on something like this would be pretty tough, right? Qtum's not looking good. DMI wise, are we flat low? It's at 1920, right? So there's still room for downside. Historically, it's turned at an 11. Stopped out of Qtum, stayed out of Qtum. All right, lumens. All right, so XLM had been looking really promising in terms of BTC. BTC values, why? Because we had several moving average crossovers. I'm going to go over some of the longer term moving averages. So we're talking like 100, 200 day, 200 days. So we had, these are the 100 over 200. So we had the 100 MA cross above the 200 MA, right? And in crypto, that is a very rare occurrence. Last time this happened on lumens, right? Last 2 times we saw these massive upwards price movements. Now we're seeing this bear flag attempting to break down, but moving average is still above, right? Moving average is still to the upside. So right now I would consider XLM to be once again a range trade. I want to see what it does at this level of support. And historically throughout the bear, XLM's done really well around these levels. It's been bottom 1, 2, 3 times, right? So you got over here, then it came down, broke below. So I'd set some alerts on lumens around here. If you've been trading lumens with us, you should be stopped out. I set some alerts down here to let us know that lumen is approaching a range low. It could be good for an accumulation play. Fundamentally, what alts do I like in the long term? Not a fundamentals guy. If I was gonna play anything like super long term, I'd pick up nodes like a Stratus node or another Z coin or 2 nodes, because a lot of these coins got devalued. They're at a steep discount. Like last year, we bought Zcoin nodes for $7,500, and we sold our Zcoin for $140 a coin. That's $140,000 for every 7,500. So that was pretty smart. I'd look at coins like that, coins that have a community, coins that have a case use. I like BAT, I like Mana, NEM that the exchange is back up. I like NEM. Those are going to be some of my favorites, especially Mana, right? It's got a big community. It's an actual VR token. The product is there. The product has been delivered, and the case use is only growing. And then privacy coins, right? Because we already know why they're important. Do you think Bitcoin Green is a good MN? Also, check our block and burst went up quite well. So block has been a good performer, right? And I was reading about the block nodes. Block's got an interesting node. It's actually profitable. Let's put a long-term fib on block. I mean, that just looks crushed. In terms of fib levels, this thing is not looking good, right? So I see a 61.8 retracement, and this is nowhere close, which is terrible. But, in terms of range, it broke out, and it's pulling back and trying to find support. In the short term, short-term technicals on this chart, it's looking like it's setting up in a flag with support at the 200 MA, right, the purple line. And when you start putting these moving averages on your chart, you really get an idea of like where the momentum's going on certain time frames, where the selling is happening, right, and where it's trying to rally and where it's trying to squeeze, and where we're likely to see continuation or not. Burst. This thing looks like a bull flag. I would look for, this thing looks pretty interesting, right? I would look for maybe an exchange listing coming soon on Burst. All right. This is a setup that I like personally. There's a clear bull flag, somewhat of a bullish pennant, second attempt to crack this resistance. Yeah, there's some pretty good upside targets here. Fib targets. Not saying it's gonna hit them, but these are the fib targets on this trade. It'd be 208, 272, 332. Is it gonna hit these 3 and 4? Likely not in these market conditions. It could wick up there and come back down. And that's why the bot announcement. That's why we're working on these bots. Are going to profit take at the targets automatically and increase stops. So that's one thing we're also working on to improve community experience, improve the trading. Because a lot of times we might personally think that something still looks good, but if there's a sell signal on the shorter term strategy, the bot's just going to execute that without even thinking about it, based on what the code tells it to do. Lightoid, you want me to check Steam? This is a big sell-off. So Steam had quite a bit of momentum, right? It kind of does this. It capitulates, it runs a diamond, and it goes up. It does capitulation, flat capitulation, and it rallies. Let's see what it's doing on Binance. It's looking like a possible ascending triangle, right? Likely an ascending triangle bottom. It's too soon to call. What do you see in Lido? Up move or a down move? I'm seeing possibly an up, right? But we saw BTC do this twice on BitMEX, and it didn't quite trade accordingly. Am I going to put a cap on the amount of bot users? We're going to have several bots running, right? So you're going to have the signals bot, and that's going to trade just the actual signals we're doing. And then we're going to have several altcoin bots that are going to trade like a 15-minute chart or a 4-hour chart or a 5-minute chart. I'm not sure if we're going to put a cap on them, but what's going to be interesting is different bots will actually have different profitabilities on different coins. We're going to post the profitabilities on the coins, and you're able to run it on whatever coin you'd like. So we're going to have weekly back tests. And that's a concern, right? If everybody's running the same bot, then bot's not going to work anymore. It's going to be competing with itself. So one thing we're going to do to mitigate that is we're going to pick higher volume, higher liquidity tokens to be ran on the bot, right? So if like Bitcoin volume, if BVOL is under 600 on Binance, that bot's not really going to be trading that day, and so forth. So we want to use, we're going to be pretty strategic about it. And so we're not going to obviously have 1,000 people running the same bot, right? So if demand increases, we'll just make bots more exclusive. But for the beta portion, you're gonna allow the VIPs to plug in and get your review of the whole experience so you can make it better. I like that idea, Lido. I'm gonna set a couple alerts on Steam, one above, one below. I like it on like a tight stop, on like a 7% stop right here. That's not a bad trading idea. Well, guys, I'm gonna take one more altcoin request. You guys have one for me, and gals, give me one more altcoin request or a couple more questions before we wrap this up. Oh, back to what I was saying about legacy markets. Like, look at the Russell 2000. Right, this index is down. It's making a lower low, way lower than the last 2 months. And if we look at the SPY and the QQQ, SPY doing the same thing, right? Look at the QQQ, which is the Invesco, right? The trust, very similar. So global legacy markets are coming down. Here we see a lot of interest in BTC coming in at this range. What is the most volatile asset, right? What's the most volatile asset class that dollar for dollar will move to the upside easier than anything else, right? I mean, the S&P 500 in one day can sell off more dollars than BTC can in the whole bear market, and and it would move maybe 5%. So in terms of this being a possible hedge play, No promises, but it could very well deem as a good hedge play to the long side, especially if we start picking up momentum here as all other markets are momentum is to the downside. And yeah, so if you guys that are trading, legacy markets with us, if you're shorting legacy markets, right, like you know the play. New low on everything. This is beautiful. But you know, the fundamental big picture is we're gonna see at some point an inverse correlation, and possibly some BTC playing as a hedge, right? So yeah, I'm gonna leave it on that note. Something to look forward to. Just thank you all for tuning into EVX. I don't know if that's a cup and handle. If no one else has that open. All right, going over EVX for Lido. That looks nice. I don't know it's a cup and handle. There's a bull flag right here. Can you signal that, Lido? Draft up a signal, please. I've seen somewhat of like a rounding bottom, 2-3 attempts, a bull flag. Moving averages look good. Cup and handles happen at the top, not at a bottom. But the intraday looks pretty good. The 240, right? So RSI is high. It's broken past resistance. 60 looks good. Let's have flag targets for this. Let's go off Wix. So flag targets, you got T1. Let's go T1 and T2 because market conditions haven't been very conducive of bull runs lately. Everyone, thank you for tuning into Power Hour. I hope I answered all your questions. I'll be going live again a little later this week, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the chat. If you're not part of our community, you want to give it a try, there's some links in the video description. You guys that are VIPs, I'll catch you on Discord. Thanks.